The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. Never before have so many Deerings been on a podcast. It's the Sandy and Toddcast, Season 3, Episode 4, and we're going to get to meet my sister this week.
Todd, we had such a good time with this, and I'm hoping that Vicki will come back. She was a little nervous, but I'm really hoping she'll come back and do some more stuff with us.
There's so much that we have to talk about on this, the pre and the post and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a good podcast this week. It's called Middle Child Powers Activate, and it's on the way next on the Sandy and Toddcast.
Tarot time. If you're listening to this podcast, the divine messages are definitely for you. Let's combine science and magic, shall we? Root cause analysis, business planning, counseling, and good old-fashioned intuitive tarot readings so we can improve your near future circumstances by addressing your present scenarios. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. For more in-depth tarot consultations, please book your readings at positivetarotwisdom.com. Infinite love and blessings for everyone.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
Season 3, Episode 4, it is the Sandy and Toddcast. Hi.
Hi. Oh my gosh. This is going to be such a cool episode. I can't wait to share it with everybody. We had such a good time with this one.
We had a great time with a live cast with my sister, Vicki, and my cousin, Tammy.
Yeah.
And we did something new on the live cast where we had another panel member. And so it wasn't just you and I asking the questions and going in the direction we wanted to go. It was also going in the direction that kind of like a listener would go. So it was kind of nice having that.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm really glad that we're kind of branching out and trying new things this season. And it's sort of the evolution. If you think back to Season 1 and then Season 2, I think we're getting even better now. We're coming up with new ideas and ways to present different topics to everybody. And so far, the reaction has been fantastic.
I'm afraid that Season 4 might be like RuPaul's drag show by the time, you know.
Or we'll be doing some weird stunts like jumping off buildings, and I don't know what's going to happen next season. But
I don't want to do that. So we're going to get to that coming up in a little bit. But something that happened in the news this week as we're recording this particular podcast.
Yeah.
Something that we've talked about on the program before.
Yep.
There was a movie several years ago. I think it was 2013 that came out called The Conjuring.
Yeah.
And it was one of a number of movies that came out that started with this family in Rhode Island that had this house and all these nasty, nasty things that came out of it. And I think in the last season, I think you and I talked about it. We talked about the house itself and where it was located. So, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. And we actually did an episode where we were talking about the fact that the family that bought the house was going to open up a bed and breakfast at this haunted location.
And I was really pissed.
I know you were. You were livid.
I was really mad because I just don't think that is a place that you should be commercializing negative activity. I don't think you should be promoting and commercializing it like these people did.
It's a weird place to try and make money when it's very unsafe to do that. Now, if you opened it up to researchers who wanted to come in and research and you could somehow prove that they had some sort of background in it and could do it safely and all that,
right?
Maybe, you know.
I would look at it a little bit more favorably if that were the case, but that wasn't the case. It was obvious when you turn your house into a bed and breakfast, a negative haunting into a bed and breakfast, you're not looking to find answers. You're looking to promote the negativity and the haunted atmosphere at this place. And I just don't agree with that.
Well, so apparently that fell through. or or something happened in the family, or their experiences were not that good, because now the house has been put up for sale for $1.2 million.
$1.2 million. I will tell you this, Todd. If I were rich, if I had a lot of money, I still wouldn't buy the stupid house. I'd donate it to charity, because $1.2 million is an awful lot of money. But I would hope that whoever purchases this house does the right thing with it. And I've heard over the years that depending on who owned it, there would be certain types of activity in the house, some of it not as negative. I do think that it probably depends on the chemistry of the people within the house. But I just don't know that I'd ever really want to purchase this house.
So they bought it in 2019. Looks like it comes with considerable amount of land. Obviously, a history that comes with the house.
Yes.
Nothing overly special about it. It's actually on the outside a little run down. $1.2 million. And according to research and reports, it's haunted by Bathsheba Sherman, who lived in the house in the 1800s. That is what the news story is now. That is what everybody's saying is haunting the house. And I just think, if you bought it in 2019 and you're selling it in 2021, something happened between then and now, and your big idea of the bed and breakfast. And I just kind of wonder what that could be.
Agreed. Now, the house itself was, I believe, from the 1600s, the late 1600s. It's in Rhode Island. And the story of Bathsheba is an interesting one, because there are a lot of people who have actually, I don't know if I want to say proven that story to be incorrect, but there are a lot of inconsistencies in the story.
Yeah.
They don't really know for sure that whether it's true or if it's legend. But my recurring theme with some of these hauntings is that look at the land that it's sitting on, because the land, I think in this case, I feel like the land is super, super important to this case. And if that's the case, then there can be a whole lot of negative things associated with this. And I'm sorry, but so I told you before we started recording that not only am I happy to see it be out of these people's hands, but it makes me a little nervous as to who would do it next.
Well, that's the thing. You hope it doesn't go into the hands of the wrong person. What I would like to see happen is, if I had the money, I might buy it, to be honest with you. I would like to see it get into the hands of somebody who could appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
I'm looking at pictures of the house. And I said it's nothing special, but it's definitely a great portrait of that type of architecture of that time.
That era.
And if you like that kind of stuff, I'm kind of into it. It would be a great house to own. But if you're going into it with the hope that you're going to get spooked every night, probably not the best thing. The owner actually, in talking about it after it went on sale, everybody had to interview these people, which also bothers me.
Yep.
Because they get more publicity out of it.
Exactly.
He says last night we had a black mist in one of the rooms. It looked like smoke. It gathers in one area and then it moves. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you own the house, then you go walk through it.
I'd be walking through it every night. No, I have a feeling I probably wouldn't. No, seriously. The talk is that, because I think in 2019, not long after they purchased the house, Ghost Adventures went in. And the talk is that it's possible that Zach Bagans might be interested in the house.
Oh, God, that would make me so sick.
Yeah.
That would make me so sick.
We all know what happened with that other house that he bought.
I don't. What did he do?
There was another house, and I can't for the life of me remember where it was, but he bought the house. It was supposed to be a extremely negative haunt, and he bought the house, and it ended up being bulldozed. And there were a lot of investigation groups who were really angry about it, because they said, why would you bulldoze the house? Well, wait, I take that back. First, he made a, quote, documentary movie about the house.
Of course he did.
And then he bulldozed it, and people were really upset because they said, why wouldn't you let true paranormal researchers in there to see if they could get any answers of what was going on?
Right.
So there's this whole big thing about it. And I could be a little bit off in some of the things, but from what I understand, that's basically the story. So there are a lot of people who are wondering whether or not he will be purchasing or interested in
I don't
this
want him
house.
interested in it.
No,
it's kind of
me
like
either.
when they sold the Brady Bunch house. Do you remember that?
Yep.
The actual house, that the outside of the house was, and then there was a big fight for it.
Yep.
And Lance Bass from NSYNC tried to buy it, and he actually
Yep.
was going to buy it, and then HGTV bought it out from underneath him. And
Yep.
what did they do? Excuse my language, they fucked it up.
Yeah, they
Because
did.
what they did was they made the inside look like the house on TV, which completely ruined the architecture of the actual house.
The aesthetic of the house. I know.
Yeah.
And that was very sad. And so I'm just afraid that if it gets into the hands of somebody like a Zach Bagans, that it is going to fuck it up even more than it already is.
Well, I think it's very, very possible. So
Me too. So that was a little bit of news for this week on the Conjuring house. I read the books about the house, the true accounts by one of the children, now an adult, who lived there, and the books are terrifying. The movie, I thought the movie was extremely well done. The movie wasn't 100% according to the book, but that's movie world.
right.
And it was so well done anyways that, did it matter? But I highly recommend that you read the books. It's called House of Darkness, House of Light. And just wonderful, wonderful account of what really happened there. Pretty amazing. So,
All right. Well, I think after we get into the podcast with my sister, we come back, I've got something that I want to bring up too. It's a little off topic for us,
right.
but it's something that has kind of really been on my mind for a couple of weeks. So I want to get into that. But right now, it's time for it. Season 3, episode 4, Middle Child Powers Activate. It's our interview with my sister, Vicki Hackbarth. It's the Sandy and Toddcast. Here's the thing about growing up with Vicki. So I had 2 sisters growing up, okay? There was Dawn. She's the eldest of the family.
Right.
And we never got, Dawn was horrible to us. Dawn beat us with spoons and stuff.
No,
And she
I'm
didn't,
sure
but
she'll be happy to hear that.
there was a time, and I tell this story all the time, but it's a true story. So I was a sweet young guy, and just this little kid. I couldn't have been sweeter. Never did anything wrong. And
Right.
all you got to do is ask my mom. That is definitely the case there. And at any
Kevin.
rate, so one day it started storming out, and we were outside playing. Because, that's what good families do, right? Wait a
Right.
minute, Dawn's on.
I watched her come on, by the way, and I knew you were inserting your foot in your mouth.
So
but I was like,
I'm
okay.
not. This is a true story. And Vicki will back me up. We were standing outside, and it started raining, storming, and I started to cry a little bit because I was this young, nice person. And she slapped me really hard. And so then I really started crying. And then she hugged me, and it was this really nice, like brother sister moment where she's like, oh, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. And then she says to me, now shut up before mom hears you.
I love it.
In a nutshell, if you want to know who my sister Dawn is, that's who Dawn is.
That's a great story.
I think like growing up for me, once Dawn moved out of the house and things kind of got normal for us, Vicki was like my best friend.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, we did a lot of stuff together. We hung out a lot. I have to say, she probably hung out more with her brother than she's supposed to hang out with her brother. But
Right.
we did think we would sit and listen to Casey's Top 40 every Sunday night on American Top 40, and we'd play Boggle and stuff like that. And then there was an Elvis impersonator we'd go see every weekend.
That was the St. Nazian story that you
That's right.
mentioned before.
That's right.
Yep.
Vicki was the one who was with me on that.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, she was probably my best friend growing up, at least at that point in my life. And then she went off and got married, and then it all went to hell after that.
so it's going to be, first of all, I'm really, really excited to have not only Vicki on, who I adore, and again, got to meet. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Oh, yeah, we got to get to that.
Yeah. But then your cousin Tammy is with us tonight. She's going to be a panelist with us, who I adore and got to meet a couple weeks ago now. I can't believe it's been like a week and a half. almost 2 weeks.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so I'm just so excited to have them on the show with us this week. 2 really, really wonderful women.
Yeah. Tammy's really laid back. Tammy is Tammy, and her daughter's with her tonight. So you'll see her and say hi to her. And Vicki is
nervous.
She's a little nervous. So we got to get her loosened up. I thought maybe we'd slip her a little something before the broadcast.
What do they call it? Slipper a Mickey?
I don't think I want to do that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. So tonight we're going to talk about pendulums. But first, I want to bring out everybody on the show tonight. First off, let me introduce Tammy Frederick, my cousin. I've known her a long, long, long time. We didn't really speak for many years because, of course, families grow apart.
Right.
And then we kind of met up one day at a park on like the 4th of July or something. It was really weird. But we ran into one another. And so she's back in my life, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Say hello to Tammy.
Yay! Hi, guys.
Hey. And Sarah.
And Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
I feel bad because Sarah's going to learn all the secrets of the family, Tammy.
I
She
know.
kind of is. I know. She might see the real me. Finally. Too
poor
late
child.
for her, but
The mask is being torn away
That's it.
tonight.
That's it. Yeah.
Right.
It will all make sense to her after this.
Sarah, no. Trust me, there's a lot more stories I have to tell you. You just get a hold of me and we will get it all taken care of. All right. So let's bring out my sister now. She's got her own business in it right now, and we'll talk about that as well. Her life has really changed in the last year. My sister, Vicki Hackbarth. There she is.
Hi, Vicki.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey, Vicki.
Thank
And
you so much.
everything you said about Dawn is absolutely true.
See, I told you. Here's the thing. Dawn, our family is wonderful. Like the 3 of us, if we could be joined at the hip, if we didn't kill one another at one point, I think we'd love it. I wish she was closer because we really do love one another. And we were also far. We're not far. Vicki and I are not far apart, but Dawn is. And so we don't get to see each other all the time. But when we do, it's a hell of a good time. So we're going to talk about a get together that we had Saturday night. So if you missed last week's podcast, you missed the fact that
I really hear her saying that too. I really can.
Whatever. That's all she knows how to say.
So what's really funny, I just have to interject when it was just you and Sandy and we were in the background and you were talking about your story, the rainstorm story. I said to Sarah, I really think that probably happened. That sounds just like something Dawn would say and do.
It's exactly Dawn. She was very over dominating the whole thing. So even today, I'm kind of scared of her. So I'm just going to behave myself now.
And I say that with lots of love, Dawn. But it did sound like you.
And I think Dawn's life has changed a little bit. Careful. I think Dawn's life has changed a little bit too in the last year, as far as kind of getting in touch with this side of her as well. I think Vicki's taken it to the next level in our family. And again, we're going to talk about all about that. Right. Saturday night last week, Sandy comes to visit, right?
Yay. That was fun.
And we all get together. I'll get my broom and spank some ass.
Promises, Dawn.
So we're all out last Saturday night, and everybody got to meet everybody, and it was a lot of fun and all that good stuff. Everybody, Tammy, said to me that it was like they knew you their entire life. Like talking to you was just so easy that.
It's true.
Everybody said that. I said, she reminds me, she's the kind of person you see and you just know that you can strike up a conversation because whether you know it or not, your energy is very open to everyone.
Yeah, I do know that. Yeah.
My husband, Dave, said to me that night after we all left the second place that we went to, what was that called? The Fifth Ward, I think.
Yeah.
Brewing Company. And he said, you and Tammy, you were just like this. He says she came over to you and you went to her like you two had known each other forever. I said, yeah, she just has that effect on everybody. And so it was really, really nice.
That makes my heart so warm, really. Like I have just the warm fuzzies. Thank you, everyone, for that. That is so sweet. Someone once called me frighteningly wonderful. And I want to put that on my resume and my biography. Like
wonderful.
Frighteningly wonderful. I feel like that sums me up pretty good.
What were you going to say, Vicki?
She was our missing fire sign. So we have groups that we've been, earth, air, water, we've been missing a fire. Yeah. And with her at the table that night, we were able to manifest things that happened almost immediately that night because she was there. She's very powerful.
Cool. Yeah. I guess I don't even know. Now I want to know what we manifested because maybe I'm not even sure. Maybe it happened and I didn't.
You may want to get caught up on that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Tammy and I, and here's the other thing, when we talk about like gifts and woo-woo stuff and all that, it's a very personal experience for each person. Each person has a different experience with it. And so what works for one person may not work for another. And where one person is at level wise in their understanding and their abilities is different from somebody else.
Right.
And so when we come on here and we talk about things, we are with the understanding that my thought process is different from Sandy's, is different from Vicki's, is different from Tammy's. Not that anybody's wrong or right.
Right.
It's just a different experience. Everybody's life is a little bit different.
Imagine if everything was exactly the same. No one would ever have their own personal experiences or evolve in their own lifetime.
Right.
We would all just be exactly the same. And so there's a certain beauty in everyone being different and having different paths and going down those paths in different ways. And I think it's just beautiful.
I think it's also really a lot like just the way we receive information just generally, right? Mm-hmm. Not even woo-woo stuff, but I might need to learn by reading and someone else might need to learn by listening. Someone else might need to learn by doing. Everybody receives information and processes that different. And I don't think it's any different on the woo-woo side of it either.
Right.
Right.
Well, Vicki, it's time to put you on the spot a little bit. I'd love for you to kind of share your story of how you got from where you were a year ago in your belief system and who you were as a human to where you are now, that transformation, if you can share that with us.
So about a year ago, our father, as you know, had an accident, and being his power of attorney, we rapidly had to find care for him. He has dementia, and the overwhelming sense of responsibility of those tasks, those power of attorney tasks, took me to a really dark place. And it was a nurse of a doctor that I was seeing who suggested I explore Reiki. And when I left that building, I drove to my next errand and I sat in the parking lot and I booked that appointment. I don't know what made me book that appointment, but I did. And my very first Reiki session, I had chakras. You have 7 chakras in your body, and I had 2 that were completely dark. Mm-hmm. And she said to me after my session, she said the word that I just got over and over was overwhelmed. And I said, that is the word I say to my siblings all the time. It's so overwhelming. You know, not just finding care for Dad, but then cleaning out his estate, selling his house. I mean, what do you do with the money? There were so many things that needed my hands doing. I had to, and then it's insurance time and dealing with the insurance companies. It was a lot. And then through Reiki, one of my very first sessions, she said to me, your future is really bright. I felt the exact opposite of that. And something in those words made me keep going back, and not just keep going back, but wanting to learn. I'm always reading now. I hadn't picked up a book for decades. I'm embarrassed to even say that. There was nothing that really interested me. Now I can't get enough information. I'm interested in all of it. This podcast has done a lot. Not just teaching me, but giving me a community. The one thing that I have understood is we are not meant to do this by ourselves. We each have our own path, but when we come together, like we did, Sandy, when you were here,
when
we came together as a group, That night, many of us were putting in individual puzzle pieces into our puzzle because we were problem solving as a group.
Right.
We're meant to problem solve as a group. We're meant to have these roundtable discussions. I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of questions, but maybe someone in the community does know that answer.
Right.
That's why the podcast is so important. It's taught me so many things. I hope it's taught all of our viewers a lot of things.
Asha says, hey, Vicki, thanks for sharing the story. I won't go into my account, but I can relate. And she's got a couple of hearts on that.
Yeah, and there's so many that can relate to that story. I know Jason's mom and I, just a few months ago, had a very similar conversation. She's also power of attorney for her dad who has dementia. It's a lot. I'll just say that. It's a lot.
I just found out it sounds like they're going to be roommates or buddies at that location, by the way. So, yeah, her dad's going to be joining our dad. So,
that's great.
Yeah. So you went back, you felt a sense of empowerment by going to the Reiki session, learning all that kind of stuff. As I mentioned, everybody's kind of got their own story. What do you say to somebody who's sitting there going, I'm at my worst right now. I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm feeling dark. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling unhappy. What can you say about what Reiki can do for someone like that?
So first of all, a lot of that is caused with an imbalance in your chakra system. So just know that what you're going through is very common. And with a balanced chakra system, you can reverse that. You can heal. It's possible. I say book your first appointment and try it. You've got nothing to lose. When you're that low, what do you have to lose?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, it was an easy decision.
And it took you even beyond just going and having Reiki sessions for yourself. You actually became a master Reiki teacher. Yeah.
Practitioner. Yep. If I wanted to become a teacher, I would need another class. So
Is that something you might do?
I don't like talking in front of people, so I don't see that happening.
But you're very good. You're very good one-on-one. And I just think back to even Saturday night. And I think if you're able to teach and share one-on-one, you're going to be fantastic.
And maybe if it's in the cards, I never thought I would become a Reiki master. That was never a goal. But as I was healing myself, my goal was to be able to heal my family. So anyone in my family, that's the whole reason I became a Reiki master. Now, why did I decide to open my own business? I'll tell you why. A friend of the podcast, our good friend Victoria from Mystic Karma by Victoria.
Yep.
I had a tarot card reading with her, and one of my tarot card readings, the entire tarot card reading was about opening my own business. You know Victoria. We all know her from the podcast. You listen.
Yeah.
When she talks, you listen.
Yep.
And so that's that was 2 months ago. In 2 months, I've now opened my own business. So
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations, Vicki. That's wonderful.
Chakra Awakening LLC, by the way, it's on Facebook. You can find it. It's / Chakra Awakening LLC, all one word. If you want to search for it on Facebook, that's how you get there.
One really quick. I just want to tell a really quick story. I had my first ever Reiki session almost a year ago. It was I think it was November, right, Todd? Because I was going through some female problems at the time. Didn't tell. The only people who knew were Dave, Todd, and my mom. And
thank you, by the way, for including me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That was very kind of you.
Anytime. But I will say this: he was there with me almost every step of the way. Not physically, obviously, but Todd was there with me, and I so appreciate that. And but I went to my first Reiki session ever, and afterwards, I just felt such an incredible sense of relief And I remember when we were going downstairs and one of the Reiki people was walking me out, and she said, I could feel that you have issues in this section of your body.
Oh, I thought she was just saying you have issues. I'm like, oh,
I knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah, I can see that from over here.
In this section of your body, and she called it perfectly. And it was sort of a mini awakening for me that it wasn't just people doing, but they really could almost get inside you when they were doing Reiki. Yep. And I remember driving home, and I was crying. I was sending him messages, and I was crying the tears, not sad tears, not pain tears, but just tears of this. All of this emotion just was flooding out of me. Yeah. And it was the most incredible experience, and I'll never forget it. And I truly believe, now I know Dave does Reiki, but I've never experienced it quite like that session. It was just fantastic. And I highly recommend Reiki for anyone who feels like they may need something like that. It's just so amazing. Tammy, have you had Reiki before?
I have, yeah.
So am I the only one in the group that hasn't had it?
Yes, and I've offered. What is wrong with you?
But it's and it's kind of like going to the doctor, and then you go to the doctor and they're like, well, you're going to have to take your clothes off and put on one of those gowns. And you're like, and they're like, well, you have to,
You don't have to get naked.
You don't have to.
I realize that. That's not the point. I mean, it's a metaphor for what I'm trying to say. I'm not afraid of having to get undressed next to my sister.
I know what you're saying.
Feel too vulnerable.
Well, that's the thing. I don't like that. I don't like that.
You do. You have to open yourself up to it, and you do make yourself vulnerable. And I was nervous about that, but it's not what you think it is. It's just an incredible experience.
In the simplest form, Vicki, I mean, what is Reiki? What are you doing when you are a practitioner with somebody? What's going on there?
So Reiki stands for universal life force and universal life energy. And Reiki is a Japanese form of energy healing where the energy is transferred from the practitioner to the patient through the palms of your hands.
Okay. So it's pretty much that simple. Do you have to, if you're looking to have Reiki done, obviously it's something you want to research a bit. I would think that it's not something you want just anybody to perform. Is there a match of energies that needs to be there or what?
And I wouldn't say that necessarily, but I would say that each Reiki practitioner has different gifts. So just as all four of us in this podcast, we all have different gifts. Mm-hmm. It's the same with your Reiki practitioners. For example, I myself see past lives. And so I'm able, when I'm doing Reiki, I see that person's past lives. And that's something that I can heal after the Reiki session. Not everybody can do that. My Reiki master teacher, she does not see past lives. So each Reiki master has different abilities, different gifts. And so depending upon what you're interested in, it might be something that you investigate that way.
Vicki, Sarah has a question. She says, do you ever use essential oils or crystals with Reiki or just your hands?
I use crystals and pendulums. I'm looking into using oils, but I always use the crystals and pendulum. So crystals can be used to pull energy from a body. If you have a patient who has pain in a particular area, you can pull energy using crystals that way. You can set crystal grids on the floor to help direct energy. I always have different chakra stones underneath the Reiki bed. And then my pendulum, because I'm such a fan of the pendulum, I use a pendulum before, during, and after the session to make sure I understand exactly which chakras need extra attention, to make sure at the end of the session that each chakra is aligned and balanced. So that I'm not closing the session without addressing all the issues.
Really quickly, Damon asks if you practice therapeutic touch. I don't believe you do, right?
Nope.
Kathy has a great question. We're getting a ton of questions tonight, which is awesome. She says, what's the best way to find a master?
I would look around. Facebook, you can Google, ask friends. I right now am working out of Triple Moon Healing, and in Triple Moon Healing, there are at least 4 other Reiki masters. Soon, Victoria will be coming to Triple Moon Healing to do her tarot card reading. So it's kind of a one-stop shop here in Fond du Lac. Just research your town that you're living in. Ask your friends, ask your coworkers. You may find people who have already seen a Reiki master and may be able to recommend one for you.
I just want to mention again, Chakra Awakening LLC is the Facebook page. If you get a chance, like it and share it with friends, so you can all kind of share information. And that's what I do like about our community and our offshoots of community. Victoria's page, I'm hoping, Vicki, your page gets this way. We're all sharing information, and we can all feel like we don't have to worry about asking the questions that everybody's going to laugh at, you know?
Right. Vicki, just a quick question. You see previous lives, past lives. What was it like for you the first time when you realized that this was your gift? What was that like for you?
Thanks for asking that question, because it was really difficult. I would talk to Todd and Dawn about this, saying, I see movies. And it's not, the way I describe it is, imagine you go to a theater and there's the big screen. There's no sound. They're not playing one movie, but they're playing 3 movies at the same time. And now you're trying to decipher those images because they're laying multiple images on top of each other. And it's not just happening here. It's happening here, 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 here. So wherever I'm focusing, I'm seeing that, but I'm missing everything else around it.
Gotcha.
And so in my tarot card reading with Victoria, I realize her and I see it exactly the same way. She doesn't necessarily see past lives, but it's like a reel-to-reel movie that's going, and that's how fast the images are coming at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I kept seeing a particular image that I was talking to my Reiki master saying, okay, this isn't a spirit guide. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. What are they showing me? And she goes, oh, it's an ancestor. And so I came home and I asked my pendulum, is that what I'm seeing, my ancestors? And it said yes.
Wow. And
so I made a commitment to all these faces that I see that I don't recognize, that I would find them. I didn't know how, but I was going to figure out a way to help heal them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's sort of how I started working with Gina Koch, who she describes herself as a multidimensional spirit communicator, energy healer, earth healer, and animal communicator. Mm. And so working with her, I've been able to heal some of these past lives. And in doing so, these movies aren't as frantic. They're not as chaotic, because when I clear them and they become healed, I don't see those images anymore.
Right.
I see the next. And the reason why they're showing me them is they need to be healed.
Right.
There's something in that past life that needs to be healed.
Hmm.
So it goes back to the, what you don't heal, you repeat. What you don't repair, you repeat.
Well, and that's in life in general. I mean, if you think about it, that is life. If you don't learn your lesson the first time you touch a hot stove, it's going to happen again.
Right.
We're getting some good questions here, Vicki. EJ asks if you might need more than one session. I would say yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was going every 2 weeks for a while, and then could back that off. And then the more I became, taking those Reiki classes, You get an attunement when you take a Reiki class, when you become a Reiki 1, a Reiki 2, a Reiki 3. You get an attunement with each one of those. And those attunements started allowing me to help heal myself.
Which you were in desperate need of.
Desperate. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Vicki is, I love her no more, no less than a year ago, but the difference in who she is incredible. Where she would typically see all the dark, negative in life.
Yes.
Now it's just the opposite. Now I want to reach out and slap her like Dawn slapped me and say, just look at it from the bad side, just once for me, please. Another great question is from Kathy, and this is the question that I come up with, and she said, trust is a big issue. How will I know if I'm in good hands? Are there some questions I should ask of that Reiki person? Or does that go back to like what you were saying about ask around and kind of get your information that way?
Yeah, ask around. I mean, part of my Reiki master class was about ethics. Making sure that you are treating that person well while you are there. You're ethically doing what you are committing to doing. Like you are spending that time wisely. Making sure that you are committed to their improvement. The nice thing about Reiki is that it is intelligent enough to go to the parts of your body that need it the most. It doesn't require a Reiki practitioner to direct it to a particular area. So for me, I have a lot of problems with my right hip. And it's no coincidence that the chakras I have issues with are my sacral and my solar plexus, right in that hip area. And so when I receive Reiki, I feel like someone puts a weighted blanket right on that hip, or a brick is actually sitting on my hip. It feels so good. But when I open my eyes, nobody's there. That is the Reiki going to the area that it needs in my body the most. And it will feel like that for hours after a Reiki session.
Would you like correspond it with like going to see a chiropractor where it's an alignment? And again, like you said, maybe you go every week or every other week, and then it kind of slowly tapers off once things get back into adjustment.
Yes. And it's very much that Eastern medicine kind of mindset, which I have been on an Eastern medicine road for the last 3 years. I'm actually seeing a nutrition response testing doctor right now for just weird things that happen in my body. But I do believe a lot of this is caused from chakras not being aligned. So for example, I break out in a rash if I eat any orange colored food. So carrot, sweet potato, squash. It's no coincidence that the sacral chakra is the color orange. It's all related. It's all related.
I was going to laugh because the whole rash thing. I mean, you and I are so much alike like that. I can look at a piece of bread and all of a sudden I've got this big spot on my forehead. You know, my eye will like just totally bulge out of its socket. So Gina Kalk is going to be on with us on October 20th.
Yes.
I need to talk to her, but I think it'd be kind of nice if you were on that particular episode too, to kind of talk, since you guys are connected in that way.
Yeah, that would be great.
Would you be okay with that? We'll talk with Gina, but could you do it? You're doing fine.
You're doing great.
I love how I knew you were going to do this, Todd. I knew you were going to do this to me.
Yes.
She actually swore at him before we got
Yes, I did.
She used the F word. So I've got one sister who verbally abuses me and the other sister physically abuses me. Look at who I am. I'm broken.
I will say if there's any episode I would be more inclined to doing that with, it would be hers, because I can't say enough good things about her. I want to know more about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she is very gifted, very talented. I think she could be a great teacher for me.
And then I think in turn, and I'm just going to say it, I think you'll be a great teacher for other people.
Yeah.
You've gotten a lot of people interested tonight about what we're talking about.
Feeling a bit lost? Not sure what's holding you back? A transformational tarot session with Eclectic Path Wellness can provide the guidance you need, combining tarot and coaching to help you understand and navigate the changes you may face. Heal, empower, and clarify your path. Connect with us on Facebook at Eclectic Path Wellness.
So there's a whole nother podcast on this because we're going to talk about another topic on our next podcast.
Yeah, because this was such an enlightening episode, a live cast episode that we did just last week, that we really wanted to break it into two because we had so much engagement. So many people were interested in it. Would love to have Vicki come back and do some more with us on it, because these are topics that not many people, a lot of people know about. I'll put it that way, Todd. A lot of people know about it, but they don't know about it. They don't know what it is. They don't know why you should do it or why you should look into it and learn it. And so just a very engaging episode. So next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about pendulums, some Reiki, some past lives, all of it. We're going to wrap it up with a part 2 next week.
Sounds good. And one of the things, we did mention it going into it, but prior to doing the live cast, so we get together ahead of time and we get into the green room, which is what I call it, when we kind of get all together, but we're not live.
Right.
We could kind of talk about how the episode's going to go. You and I have a very laid back situation. I could not get my sister to smile for the life of me. She was dead on, deer in headlights, staring at her camera. And I'm like, Vicki, it'll be great, you know? And then she did a great job, but then afterwards said she was ready to puke. So I don't know.
Well, let's talk about her glasses, for she's going to kill us both. But she thought she has a couple of pairs of glasses.
Right.
And she had on a pair of glasses that she thought looked, I guess, more professional, maybe just better with the outfit. I'm not sure. But she couldn't see out of them that well. So she was using her phone to record the live cast with us and couldn't really see anything that was going on.
I can understand that because she and I have very similar eyesight in that if you got your glasses on and you're wearing the glasses that you would typically wear on a daily basis, probably not the ones that you can look at your phone very well with. So like if I'm wearing my glasses, I actually have to take my glasses down and pull the phone really close to my face in order for me to see what the hell's going on. Right.
I do the same thing.
So that's what her situation was. She could see the phone there. She just couldn't see anything on the phone. So it was kind of like staring off into a blur. So at any rate.
So then after the show was done, she actually put on the correct glasses and it was like, well, you know, I can see just about an hour or so too late, but it was fantastic. And we cannot thank Vicki enough for everything. I actually started playing around with my pendulum today as we this morning. And I was telling you some of the questions that I asked today, and very interesting stuff. Working very well for me. So very interested to see what else I can come up with using the pendulum.
Cool. I think let's talk more about that on the next podcast.
Yes. I'll fill everybody in on what I got.
So I want to kind of switch gears just a little bit before we wrap things up and really put a push out there for a music album. And this is something we don't typically do. And this is something that a lot of people may not necessarily completely understand, but there's an album that came out on I believe the 17th of this month. The album is by an artist called Lil Nas X, and the album is called Montero. And I have to tell you that it's a pop album. It's got some rap. It's got some other stuff on it. I'll tell you right now that I have found it just absolutely incredible.
Really?
I like the pop stuff on it. I like the rap that's on it. But there are some songs literally that I will turn on and I'll be in tears in like 10, 15 seconds. It's just seriously? So moving. Yeah.
I know what kind of music you like. We have very similar tastes in music. I think it's just our age and our backgrounds and everything. Very similar. But I would have never thought that I would like something like that.
Oh my
but
God.
maybe now I'm going to have to check it out.
Well, here's the thing. Some of this sound like there's a song or two in there that actually has some rap in it, but actually has like an Earth, Wind, and Fire sound to the horns.
Yep.
There's a very 80s sounding song on there as well. And there's a lot of music basically saying, you weren't there for me before, don't come at me now. And there's just some really interesting stuff. So if you're open to music and you think, well, this isn't something I'm going to like, I will tell you right now, I can't shut it off. And a friend of ours, Lisa Hale, I turned her onto it. She listens to the album over and over and over for 8 or 9 hours every day.
I'm going to have to listen to it now. Now, let me ask you this, though, before we get ready to wrap up.
Yeah.
What made you decide to start listening to it?
I saw him on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, okay.
And he's very controversial. He's a gay artist and is out and all that kind of stuff. And he just really impressed me with how well the other part of it is how well he marketed this album. It's unbelievable, the stuff that he did to market this album. And in a week's time, like, he's all over the charts with this thing. So,
all right. So you guys heard it here. You got to check this out. What's it called?
Montero is the name of the album by Lil Nas X. So check it out.
There we go. Maybe we should make that sort of every once in a while, we should talk about some albums.
We can.
And stuff.
We can. I don't know if I'll ever listen to anything else ever again. It's so good.
We have such similar background. I mean, I love rap and I love everything. So we'll give it a shot then. I think I'm going to listen to it too.
Please do. And listen to it with an open mind. Listen to the whole album. And here's the thing, like, there's some hits on there where you're like, I know this song because I heard it on the radio. And I know that song because I heard it on the radio. And then you start listening to other stuff. You're like, okay. And then the next time you listen to it, you're like bawling your eyes out.
Oh, man.
So it's pretty good.
Awesome.
At any rate, we'll be back next week with part 2 of this episode. And we're going to talk about Sandy's work with her own pendulum.
Yes. I have a lot already to talk about. So get ready, everybody.
All right. Sounds good. You want to thank everybody for us and tell us tell them where to go. Because if I tell them where to go, it's not going to be a good thing.
I'm the good cop. Todd's the bad cop.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for listening to us each and every week. We really appreciate it. You can find us on any of the platforms. We are all over the place. Any of the platforms you'd normally find your podcast. We also have a Facebook page, the Sandy and Toddcast, where you can get our audio episodes as well as our live cast episodes. Be sure to give us a like on that page and also leave us a review. If you like what we're doing, the best way to get us to keep doing it is by leaving reviews. You can also join our Facebook group, Stay Weirdos Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast. We're just over about 170 people, and we love this group. There's a lot of interaction, and it's a safe place for everybody to go share their thoughts, opinions, feelings, experiences, non-judgmental. You can pretty much, unless you're rude or mean to somebody else, say or do whatever you need to do to get your point across. And it's a really, really great place. No politics, just a lot of laughs and insightfulness. And we just love it. Just love it. So thanks to everybody. A big thanks to Dan Phillips, as always, for our intro and outro music. And I think that's it, Todd.
Well, one more thing. If you're listening to this on the Sunday that it's actually released, just know that on Wednesday night, we'll have a Woo Woo Wednesday live cast with Holly Hughes.
Yeah,
that's exciting. That
she's
she is back.
And she's very excited to be back with us. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm sure we'll bring up my my stuff from last time that you two berated me for. So it should be a lot of fun.
I can't wait to team up with her against you. So that'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you next week.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
How many more miles left in this race? How long it takes, I don't know. In the end, it ain't about the pace. It always ends at the crossroads.